prayer is forbidden in the schools, right? Prayer is forbidden in the schools. Prayer is forbidden even in many public places. You can't read the Bible in a school. You cannot just sit in one corner and read your Bible, which is an offense. You cannot even pray during lunch break. It is an offense. You know, America is the only country in the world that has such laws. Even a heathen country like India does not forbid a person to read Bible in the school. Do you know that? 2 Christian kids can pray during lunch break in a school in India. It doesn't forbid that. Even in a Muslim country, they don't forbid you to read the Bible. But only in a supposedly Christian nation like the US. I'm sorry to say this. Once upon a time, America was godly, but not now. You agree? Yes. Not now. This nation is not a Christian nation now. It was once upon a time, but not now. Now she is becoming more ungodly than a Hindu nation or a Muslim nation or a Buddhist nation. You have embraced all the Hindu gods that we rejected. You have embraced all the Buddhist gods that they have rejected. You have embraced, when you opened your nation and allowed the Muslim immigrants to come, what have you done? You have welcomed terrorists into your country. And that's what Mr. Trump is trying to do. Kick them all out back. But look at what the government is trying to do. See, look at what your Supreme Court is trying to do. They are trying to prevent him from doing godly acts.
That's the truth. Amen.
There is a diabolical satanic group that has been set up, and they are fasting and praying against your president. Last year, when I was in Lancaster, the word of the Lord came unto me and said, ask the American people to set up a 24/7 presidential prayer watch to focus prayer only for the president, because he needs the prayers of the saints to surround him and protect him from the arrows that will come against him from all ungodly sources. Every one of you have now heard this. It is your moral responsibility to pray for your president. Like what I told you on the first day, Mr. Donald Trump was voted into office against all odds because heaven willed it. And why heaven willed it? Because you are given a last chance. A last chance for this nation to turn back to righteousness. And Mr. Trump is like a godly man standing between God's judgment and the nation. He's like the man standing in the gap. He's like the prophet Moses holding the hands of God. Because you didn't do it, so God in His great mercy raised up a man like Cyrus and made him stand in the gap. Now all this is God's graceful acts of kindness for you. His graceful acts of kindness, because He sought for a man who will stand in the gap, but He found none. There were none. So He raised up a man, one man, to come and stand in the gap, so that through him standing in the gap, 4 years of grace for you. One term is 4 years, right? 4 years of grace for you. And you need to put your house in order during the 4 years. Now, why you should pray for your president? Because he must last his term. If he is kicked out for any reason, or killed, or he himself forced to resign, then your grace period is cut. Now this is serious. The American believers must take this seriously. You should not take this lightly and just leave this place forgetting about the whole thing. President Trump is God's last man of grace for you. Last opportunity of grace for you. And just like how Dr. Bruce shared last night about the solar eclipse and its movement and spiritual application, now if it is a symbol of judgment, and then if it is focused only on the US, and then he said that it first begins at a city called Government Point. The Government Point points to the White House. It will begin there. So you must form a prayer watch called the Presidential Prayer Watch and focus prayer only for your president. 2 or 3 of you gather together, pray only for your president. Set up a prayer watch that will pray 24 hours, each person taking half an hour a day. It is possible to be done. A church can do with all thousands of people. One person here, one person there, praying half an hour a day. Not much. You can cover the whole 24 hours praying for your president. Now, if he goes down, this nation goes down. Then you will face the full fury of the judgments of God. What has been withheld so far will now be released upon this nation. Time will delay no longer. You know, I was very scared when yesterday morning when I was called to the council, when they said we are going to deliberate, decisions are going to be made about the US. I was very scared because I know about some of the destinies about the US. It was shown to me past several years. For all the sins that are going on in this nation, it's a miracle you're still alive. I think the word miracle is not the right word. You are alive simply because of the grace of God. You know, 2 years ago, when the Supreme Court passed the same-sex marriage bill in this nation, I was in Houston for a 3 days of meeting. Before coming to Houston, we were in Los Angeles airport, waiting to catch a flight to come to Houston. And when I was standing in the queue to board the plane, I saw a mighty angel stand on my right side. And he had a sledgehammer in his hand. And I looked at him and I asked him, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I am the angel of this city." And when he spoke those words, I saw him standing. This is something very miraculous, you know. I saw him standing in 2 places at the same time. He was standing beside me with a height of about 8 feet, and he was standing outside the airport. You know, in Los Angeles airport, there is this curve-like restaurant. He was standing out there, and he was so huge, taller than that structure, the icon structure of Los Angeles airport. And he had a sledgehammer in his hand, and he said, "We are going to strike this city with an earthquake." And he said, all my angels are lining up all along the coast of California, and they are waiting for my command to strike this nation. And then he also said, the angels have been positioned in 3 places in this nation to strike earthquake. 3 places. One is California, and I don't know where the other 2 are. I think one is in the center of the US. And I shivered and I trembled. Why such catastrophe? All during the flight from Los Angeles to Houston, I was praying profusely for the US. And I didn't know why such a disastrous judgment is being pronounced. And when I came out of the plane and I stepped foot in Houston, and I heard the voice of the Lord say, this city will be flooded. I said, oh my, look, I don't get good news. I'm only getting bad news all the time. And I didn't know why I'm hearing all this until that night. The other speaker for the conference was Pastor Joseph Sweet from Lancaster. And when we met for dinner, the first thing he asked me was, did you saw the news? I said, no, I didn't. What was in the news? He said, the Supreme Court just passed the same-sex marriage bill. And you know, as soon as the Supreme Court passed the bill, who was the first person to send a congratulatory message? Your former President Obama. He was the first person to send a tweet. The Supreme Court has made the right decision. And instantly, the White House was lighted up with the 7 rainbow colors of the LGBT community. You know, the White House, see, it's supposed to be a white house, a house that represents holiness. And what has it become? A house of Sodom and Gomorrah. So if God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, why shouldn't He destroy you? Tell me why. Why shouldn't He destroy you? I was reminded at that time, the 4 of your former presidents. 2 of them I know who they are. One was George Washington, the other was Abraham Lincoln. And there are other 2 very godly presidents among your so many presidencies that you have had so far. So far, only 4 godly ones. And they are standing in the gap and praying for this nation. And because of their tears, and because of the sand, the tear-filled sand that is before the presence of God, that George Washington prayed and dedicated this land to God. He did not dedicate this land to Satan, like what the president of Haiti did. You know, the president of Haiti dedicated the nation to Satan. On the day of his inauguration, he stood on the podium, he lifted up his hand and said, I dedicate this nation to Satan. He said that. That is why there's so much of voodooism all over the island of Haiti. And that is the reason why God sent a powerful earthquake to judge that nation. But your nation is not like that. You have been dedicated unto the living God. That is why so many missionaries rose up from this nation. So many wonderful ministries rose up from this nation. And you have been a blessing. You have been like a lighthouse to the whole world. That's what you have been. But now, you have become a den of thieves. Now, you have become a den of witches and warlocks. They have more right than the Bible in the schools. Witchcraft is taught, but Bible is banned. Now what have you become? You have become a Babylon. Once upon a time you were Jerusalem. But now, God has raised up a Cyrus, a godly king, who rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. He was instrumental to send Nehemiah back, Ezra back, say, go, build up Jerusalem, build up the temple, I will finance it. In the same manner, God has raised up Mr. Trump. You know, we need to overlook at all his weaknesses, the big mouth or small mouth. Overlook all them. Those are the little minuses in everybody's life. We all have weaknesses, don't we? We, all of us, we have that. Irrespective of all that, if the grace of God can be upon you, why not upon him? Right? So please, I beg you one more time, on this last night, you must pray very much for your president. Set up a prayer watch. Pray for your president. Gather a group together. If possible, fast and pray once a week. You must set up a 24/7 prayer watch all throughout his years of presidency. Now, listen. If he survives the 4 years, which means God's grace has been full upon this nation, and that grace will continue for another 4 years. Not just grace, but the favor of God will shine upon this nation. The Son of Righteousness will arise and shine upon this nation with wings of healings, flapping all over this land, and you will be restored back to your former glory. Godly ministers will rise up one more time in this nation. Godly apostles, godly prophets will rise up in this nation one more time and set the church back on its right order, right feet. And righteousness will spring forth from this land. Truth, mercy, and righteousness will all spring forth and grow up like the palm tree. And your land will become like a fatted cow, like Jeshurun. And your land will truly become a land that flows with milk and honey. And nations will come to you, kings will come to you, princes will come to you, and you will nurse them, and you will teach them, and you will feed them, and you will show them the ways of God. Now, for all this to happen, you must bend your knees and pray for President Trump. Now, pray that he will be surrounded with godly advisors. You know, sometimes for a neat sake, ungodly, wrong people can come to office. So he should be surrounded with all godly advisors. All the secretaries must be godly people. So this should be your prayer focus. Some good things have already begun. There are regular prayers now going on in the White House. That's one good start. So when he took office, he has got rid of all the idols that Obama brought into the White House.